Hi, my name is Jenny Phelps. I used to be an elementary school teacher. I have 11 years of teaching experience in grades 1 through 4. Almost 12 years ago, I decided to become a stay-at-home mom. And this year, due to COVID, we decided to homeschool our kids. So that's my teaching job this year. I have a almost 12-year-old son who's in 6th grade, a almost 10-year-old daughter who's in 4th grade, and my youngest son is 6 years old and he's in kindergarten. I decided to start my video here in one of my favorite corners of our home in front of my bookshelf. This is where we keep all of our adult books. I have them alphabetized by author, and up on the top is where I keep my stacks of books that I want to read next. I think it's very important for kids to have access to lots of different books, not only at home, but also in the classroom. Luckily, through my 11 years of teaching, I've collected a lot of books, so that they've come in very handy during this year of homeschooling. So I'll go ahead and take you on a tour of our other library sections in the house. This is my daughter's private library, where she keeps all of the books that she owns and that are special to her. These two containers of books usually kind of float around our house. My daughter likes to keep a basket of all the books that she has checked out from the public library so that they don't get lost. And then we also have this old magazine rack that we keep other library books that the boys check out so that they have a spot where they're not getting lost. Okay, so here we are. I'm standing at the doorway of our homeschool classroom for the year. This room is my home office, and it used to be my craft and sewing room, but this year for homeschool, we have reorganized it to make space for me and the kiddos to spend our days here. When you first walk in the door, we have a bookshelf here on the left. This shelf is full of chapter books that we have whole series or partial series of. I mostly just had to organize them in a way where they would fit on this small shelf. I tried to put easier books on the top shelf, working downward to more difficult books and keeping similar types together. So all the fantasies on this shelf and some historical fiction down on the bottom. I also keep a basket here of magazines that we subscribe to and catalogs. On the top, I have a basket of our family field guides. They're not with the other nonfiction books because I like it to be easy for anyone just to walk in the door and grab the book they need. Got some phonics readers, and our current read alouds sit on the top of this shelf, as well as the most recent book that I've checked out from the library so that the kids can see what mom is reading next. Okay, I'll just kind of give you an overview of the whole space of all of our shelves. This shelf holds our school supplies, but I also put my kindergartner's books on this shelf. I like this idea because it put the books that he likes to look at down lower. We've got Dr. Seuss books and some old favorite board books, as well as some number and colors books and ABC books that he enjoys, and I use these to help teach him. I've also got a little tub of easy readers for him that he'll be getting to later this year, and his new library set of first readers. This shelf is where I keep the rest of our chapter books. Actually, the top shelf is where I keep my curriculum, and the next two shelves are where the older kids have other chapter books that did not fit on the other bookcase. We organize them by the type of book. We've got historical fiction, Gary Paulson and other adventure survival stories, and fantasy and science fiction. Then I have an art and creative tub here. Down below, I've got realistic fiction and a tub full of Beverly Cleary books because my daughter is really enjoying these books right now, so I wanted to have them easy for her to find. And then in this tub, I have all of our sort of new releases. They're books that I find at the library and grab up and put here for the kids to browse through and check out. Then down below, inside the cupboard, is where I keep my stash of books. I have some of my old teaching books and mostly our seasonal books that I get out with each season. So I don't want the kids getting into them until I put them in our seasonal basket. Okay, moving on to our big shelf. We actually bought this new cube storage unit, and the kids and I put it together for our homeschool classroom. Before I had this shelf, all of our books were crammed onto this shelf, and it was impossible to find anything. So I've really enjoyed pulling books off of the shelf and making them more accessible for the kids. And they're rediscovering books that we've had all along and that they haven't seen for years. Up on top of the shelf, I keep a divider with my kids' work that they're using every day, and a tub of all of our books that we're currently studying or going to be studying next. And we have a display section where I put seasonal books, or lots of times I put poetry. I've got a poem on the wall, and I created a little poetry corner here, books that I own, and then I rotate out different poetry books that I get from the library. Down below I've got nursery rhymes and fairy tales, fables, those kinds of things. And then the bottom of the shelf is full of picture books, these three areas. We tried to organize these by category. For example, we've got all farm books, some of our favorite authors that we have multiple books by these authors. Same one up here, author illustrators. Picture books with people, fantasy adventure type, picture books with animals. This side of the shelf is my nonfiction section, and there's another area here, people in history, places and travel. My kindergarten son is very into dinosaurs, so we have all of our dinosaur books in this tub of its own, all nonfiction as well as our fiction dinosaur books, and that's just for him. Lots of animal books. These are encyclopedia style, why, all about books with lots of facts. Down below I used another one of my cardboard dividers to kind of group by different subject area. And down here is our huge tub of space and the solar system. I used to teach a unit on this, so I had a lot. This is what all three kids have been studying in homeschool so far this year. So when we're done with space, I'll probably rotate these back onto the shelf and use this tub to hold books for our next topic. I almost forgot to show one of my favorite tubs. This is my seasonal and holiday tub. We just finished Thanksgiving, so that's what's in it right now. I put all books related to the holiday in here, chapter books, even books I've checked out from the library. I've got a graphic nonfiction book, other nonfiction books, and all of our picture books. The kids love this basket. It switches out. A lot of them are the same books from year to year, and they look forward to reading those. Most of the time, this basket is in our living room next to our couch so that we can read stories before bedtime. One of my favorite parts of our library is our online library that I created using Padlet. It's a place where all of the kids have access to, and they can go in here and click on any of our accounts to watch books. I've got a story time section. I post weekly story choices here. We had some Thanksgiving books last week. They can go into the public library. There's a link to add books for us to pick up. Hoopla, Libby for Kindle books to borrow. I also have some book picks from Mom for them. And then I also have an audiobook section, so they can go to these two apps and check out an audiobook. And I've just recently started this book review section where I'll add YouTube videos and other videos for them to watch other people reviewing books. So I tried to organize this library to make it best for my students this year, my own kids, mostly based on making the best use of the space and making all of our books fit here. But I also wanted them done in a way where they could have good access to the books. So by doing things like putting the heavy tubs down lower where they're more easy to manage, and smaller tubs up higher and not as heavy so they don't have a hard time pulling them off the shelves. And also having different sections for the older kids' books, and then my son's easy reader books in a different place where they're easier for him to find. And I think it was also important to let the kids keep some of their own personal books on their own personal shelves in their bedrooms so that they have their own space and their favorite books there. If this library was in an actual classroom, I would have a lot more space, and that would be nice. I would also have every individual student have their own book box so that they can add books to their box and keep several in there at a time, so it's not a big deal when they need a book to read. It's easy to just to go grab their tub and find a book. Also, I think it's very vital for every classroom to have a nice classroom library so that students have easy access to many different types of books. And also, with it being in the classroom, their teacher can help students choose books that would be right for them. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my library tour.